Hello, everybody. I'm Matt Savis with the Lean Enterprise Institute, and I'm pleased to welcome our next speakers, Jared Ragazine and Jay Multanen. Jay is the co-CEO at Best Bath, a manufacturer of shower systems for commercial and residential properties. And Jared is the director of Lean and Continuous Improvement. So I'm going to turn things over to them and invite them to offer their presentation. Thanks, Jay. Thanks, Jared.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate in advance, appreciate your time. And this is what we're going to be talking about. You probably know, which is why you signed up to spend these 30 minutes with us. We have a secret we want to share. So we want to unlock the secret of how to get and keep talent through lean culture. I'm Jared Ragazine, rhymes with magazine. As Matt said, I'm the director of lean and corporate training at Best Bath. I'm a Lean Six Sigma black belt with 17 years experience in manufacturing, healthcare, education, and now construction. Before joining Best Bath, I worked for Skywalker Properties on a $1.5 billion project for George Lucas. My experience ranges from entry-level position to business development and leadership roles, and most everything in between. My strengths are people and process. I'm passionate about lean, and my specialty is creating positive CI culture where everybody sees improvement as part of their daily work. And when not at work, I love to play the drums. Jay, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
And as Jared mentioned, he's a drummer. I also am a musician, and I'm a bass player, and that is one area where we have a real connection. In addition to having a firm love of lean philosophies, I feel really grateful to be able to work with Jared on a lot of these projects that really transcend our values from community to employees. I have learned to embrace the fact that I'm a people person as well. You know, it's for me, it's music is the same as the factory operation. And as soon as I allowed myself to embrace that fact, things really started clicking for me. At the end of the day, it's about balance, it's about blend, it's about harmony, and it's about how we make people feel. So I've been honored to be a part of this organization for a little over 20 years. I'm excited to share some secrets with you all.
Thanks, Jay. So Jay's our co-CEO along with his sister. He's the reason why Lean showed up at Best Bath those 2 decades ago, and the reason why I'm here in this role. So our objective today, everyone, is, by sharing the Best Bath secret sauce, we're hoping that you'll begin to identify ways that you can educate, empower, and reward your own employees so that you can develop a lean culture that attracts and retains talent. So in green here, this is what we're going to focus on: the education, the empowerment, and the rewarding. If you would be willing, please drop into the Q&A. How do you educate, empower, and reward your employees? And we can circle back to that later on. Would love to hear from you. And Matt, if you if you see some responses and there's a few samples you want to share, you can just jump in, or if there's a lot of responses and some themes that you can kind of pattern together, that would be interesting to hear sooner than later. But we can also give till the end of the knowledge session today.
Sure, as they come in, I'll mention. So as Jared mentioned, use the Q&A. The chat is disabled for now, so just throw your responses into the Q&A.
So first, educate.
So at Best Bath, we're really trying not to reinvent the wheel. And this is a model that Jared's going to share a little bit more about with you. And it's really no different than what's traditionally been used in the lean world and inspired by the Toyota model and the Toyota way. But we have our True North document, which we'll share a little bit about ours and our value-driven purpose. I love how LEI and the Lean Enterprise Institute really frames that. That has helped us as an organization. But in defining our value-driven purpose, it's helped us to, help us define the work that we do, the capabilities that we need to develop, the foundations that we sit on, and the work of management that lives in the middle. And Jared's going to talk more for you about the Best Bath model and how we've really tried to move this forward.
Yeah, so when it comes to really how we educate, it starts with just being a true learning organization, and that's our foundation, as you can see here in our Best Bath House of Lean. That quickly funnels to Best Bath University, and that's going to teach many topics and try to bring competency and mastery in many different areas, one of which is lean. So the lean education, just a couple of samples here. We've got a lean fundamentals class that's required for all employees, and there's about 230 of us in 2 states, Idaho and Tennessee. The lean fundamentals class here is in orange, and it covers these 6 pillars of really defining lean, that it's continuous improvement and eliminating waste with respect for people, and ultimately working together to flow value to the customer, with a focus on our core values down here in the foundation. And then we've got another lean class that we teach. It's lean problem solving. It's really developing scientific thinking. So using the PDCA model and CAUTA A3 and A6, and then really the importance of standards. And so that's highlighted here in green. And our lean theme for this year is solve the gap. And it's been fun to hear people get better about framing where we want to be compared to where we are now, and really understand what the problem is we're trying to solve.
A couple of things I'd love to jump in and talk about there, especially you saw standardization as a part of our foundation. We used to have a saying at Best Bath, we still do, where Best Bath is where we go to, where our hearts, hands, and minds to make customization standard. We have an incredibly high mix of products that go through our operation. And so standardizing that can become a challenge, but we've learned to embrace standardization and embrace flexibility and customization as well. And so that's something I'd love to talk more about as we go on. So one of the things I'm most proud of at Best Bath, over our 20-year journey, I've seen some real ebbs and flows. And when we failed to embrace lean philosophies, it really hurt us, especially in crunch times and in times where maybe cash flow's not going well, or the economy's not well, or the market is not in a position to where is advantageous to us. But what we've never stopped was our lean board. We call it our department boards now. We used to call them our scoreboards, and the principle is simple. You want the scoreboard to indicate how you're playing in the game. Are you winning or are you losing? And it's best for the scoreboard to be updated continuously, or as quickly as possible, rather than, maybe the scorecard you may judge your business by might be the P&L, and that maybe only come out at the end of every month. That's not quick enough for us. So Jared's going to talk about, the 3 elements of the daily work and how we incorporate all these things that are the same for all of us on our lean scorecards, on our lean boards.
Yeah, I'd love to. So as we talked about with lean education, one of the things that we teach are the 3 elements of daily work. In other words, what are the 3 things that everybody has in common at work, independent of your job? And it's these 3 right here. It's maintain, contain, and improve. And so through visual management, we really embody those three at the center part of the board here. When we talk about maintain, what are we maintaining? Well, that's going to be our standards. KPIs in this case, there's many things that we're trying to maintain, and that's probably the majority of our day. However, sometimes problems arise and there's a gap or a deviation from a standard, and that's when we move into contain mode. For us, Band-Aids are okay as long as it's short term, and here in special attention is where we address some of those issues. However, we want to circle back and solve for root cause. That's our long-term improvement, and that's where this lower section comes in. So the lean board's a problem-solving tool for us. You know, we want to surface problems, tease them out of their hiding spot, and so we can swarm those problems and solve them together. So we educate, and then we equip and empower our workforce.
So moving on into the empower portion of our presentation, I want to share with you, this is a visual of our Obeya, our war room. And I'll call to your attention, at the front of the room, you can see, you may not be able to see in detail, but we have our corporate values, our vision statement, our mission statement. And you may recall from the previous slide that on the left-hand side of all of our lean scoreboards, we have the enterprise level. It was just entitled Best Bath, but that's where we put our true north statement. That's where we highlight our value-driven propositions. That's where we highlight our values. That's where we talk about like our Hoshin. That's where we put our X matrix with that entitled that encompasses our Hoshin Kanri. So those are available for every single employee to see, and in every single meeting we have, we're able to touch on those topics, and that I think helps give us focus.
Yeah, exactly. And so coming back to the lean board, as Jay mentioned, so really the war room is where it all starts, you know, begins there, and there's direction set by the owners, which Jay is one of, and then leadership, you know, beginning that catch-ball process. From there, it's a flow down. There's problem solving and improvement here on the board, but not only that, we have innovation. So over on the left side, the section that Jay's talking about, the Best Bath, this is the corporate side that's same on all the boards, is where we have that vision statement, our core values, our 10-year goal broken down into 3-year goals and 1-year goals to bring awareness to that. And as Jay said, it brings focus. That's so important. And then there's additional catch-ball or collaboration up and down, left and right on multiple levels where, you know, this is what we mean by empowering. We're not just telling people how to make the improvements. We're engaging everybody in what our vision is and what we need to have happen to best serve our customers. And then we engage one another in terms of how we're going to do that. And so, you know, that we empower the workforce with transparency. Further, we've got the corporate strategy that lives on each of the lean boards. So right here in the middle, there's an X matrix. It's going to be specific to each department as you round the sun over to the north side. And that brings visibility to the team in terms of what they're working on. So each department has their own X matrix to align with business goals. So what we love about this is it brings focus with our improvement efforts instead of a generic war on waste. And we use things like A3 and A6 to achieve those goals. And A6 we'll describe in a minute. So A3, you're familiar with this. That's based on PDCA. This is where it lives on the board down in the continuous improvement section. In case anybody's unfamiliar with PDCA, it stands for Plan, Do, Check, Act. And an A3 is a large 11 by 17 piece of paper or just a document that really contains an entire effort, whether problem solving or an innovation, and it brings it all in one place. And so it starts out with a problem statement, be clear and concise. These are prompts for our folks to fill in fill in each section, we want to have facts and data to support what the problem really is. You notice the section on the left, the plan section, is much larger than the other sections because it probably takes more time to really understand each of these sections. We want to avoid problem guessing, so go and get some facts and some data. And then we want to make sure that we've got a target condition that's very clear. We want to do root cause analysis, 5 whys, and other tools like that to understand why we're not reaching our target now. And when we're clear on that, then we move into the 7 alternatives. This is, we don't want to jump to conclusions. We don't want to assume that we know that the next step we're going to take is going to solve the problems. So we list out several possibilities. It usually takes a few minutes, and it ends up bringing cost avoidance. So we don't want to substitute money for brains. We want to come up with low or no cost and high impact improvements. After collaboration and catchball has occurred here with the A3 owner at the top and their direct report, then there's an okay to proceed into the do phase, and we set a date. From there, things go much quicker usually, because if you've done a good job with the plan phase, you're pretty clear on what needs to happen. And so with the do phase, it's what, how, and why you're going to do it. Moving into the check phase, it's, well, what are we checking? Remember, back in the plan phase in the middle, it's the target. And it was set earlier when we were planning for this. And so we're checking to see if what we're doing is working. How will we check the target? Well, we'll probably have some KPI or some measurements that were similar to the facts and data that we used originally. And then when we find that we're hitting our target, which might take several iterations, again, scientific method or scientific learning is really to try one thing after another, to study as you go along and adjust and pivot as necessary. So when you're finally hitting the target, the act phase involves a few things. One is to sustain. Well, how are we going to sustain? Maybe you're going to use that same KPI. Then you update the SOP, you train to the new standard, and then measure the waste. And the best part is to celebrate by recognizing the team. So there's an A3. We have a lean advisory committee that can help support A3 teams. I'll keep going here. And then we mentioned the A6 earlier. Probably never heard of the A6 before, so take a little bit more time to explain this one. Move through as fast as possible. This is what the A6 looks like up close. What it is it's like an A3, only smaller. It's a play on alphanumerics. It's a postcard-sized 4x6-inch idea card, or A6 internationally, that tracks improvement ideas. So think Paul Akers 2-second lean, or a quick win, or a just do it. Anybody can fill out an A6, and it gives everybody a voice. This is one of the secrets that we're sharing with you that's very effective for us. People are engaged in this way. So A6s, they live on the lean board, and they're managed by the local team who knows those processes best. A6s, we have found that they foster a true lean culture of continuous improvement, where it's everybody every day, instead of just event-based improvement that can be discontinuous. So this helps to fill in those gaps for true continuous culture, continuous improvement culture. So the way this works is you put in your idea, you mark down the waste or wastes that are associated with your idea, and we train people on the wastes in that first lean fundamentals class. So here's something for them to act on as soon as they leave. So it's learn by doing. And then they can qualify the improvement. Is this going to improve quality, reduce cost, improve delivery, which is a function of flow, safety and 5S, or boost morale? You can check one or more of those. And then over to the far right, you can shade in the PDCA wheel. In this case, it's just progress as you're moving through. These usually go much quicker, but are you planning this out? Are you doing it? Are you checking, or are you done? So the history of the A6 is, I created this in Spokane several years ago in response to a company owner who asked for a visually managed improvement idea system. So no idea boxes, right? And to have that be fueled by the employees. So it was developed through trial and error with a pilot department willing to embrace change and to try new things. Now at Best Bath, Jay here can tell you a story about our use of A6.
Well, I really appreciate Jared's bringing the A6 to us. It comes back to what I would call the improvement of the push broom rebristling. And when Jared first came here, I love his inquisitive nature. And as he was asking questions of the staff, some folks would say, well, Jay is requiring that all improvements be documented in an A3. When Jared went to me to validate, I said, well, that's actually not exactly true. I just want all improvements documented. I don't need to, if we need to rebristle a push broom, I don't need to go through an A3 process to do that. So the A6 was just a wonderful opportunity for us to get some quick wins and document them and solicit some involvement from all the employees, and also hold some leads and supervisors accountable to say, hey, we need to respond to all of our ideas, all the ideas that are coming from everybody in the staff.
Yeah, I remember that well. And so, you know, there's a lot of tools in the lean tool belt, and based on the problems that we're trying to solve, we reach into that tool belt and we just apply what we're aware of to try and solve that gap, and it's worked really well. It definitely takes both A3s and A6s, not just one or the other, and this has served well to bring documentation to the company's improvements. So this is how A6 works. It's a pull system. It's down here in the continuous improvement section. The A6 is the Kanban. So several A6s coexist on a lean board in a left to right pull system format. A3s are here as well, as you can see. At the left, we have the idea queue. We max that at 6. In process, we max that at 3. Of those 3, only 1 can be an A3. That allows improvement to continue flowing with the just do it's across the top. And then the far right is completed. There's no max here. And so the A6s, as I said, become a Kanban, where we pull, we complete an improvement. We can then pull from the improvement opportunities, and then somebody who may have an idea, chomping at the bit to put it on the board, it might be waiting in their locker at their desk. Now there's a spot where they can bring that in. Now, sometimes somebody's waiting to put an idea on the board, and the in-process improvements are taking some time, and they say, put me in, I want my idea to be enacted. Well, what the leaders in each of the departments say is, perfect, see what you can do to help your team member who's got that idea in the middle to drive that to completion. And what's cool about that is it drives teamwork. So they're helping one another and engaging together and improving. It makes the improvements better. So rule number 1 is somebody's first idea can't be their last. Sometimes ideas come up here on the board. If you're a leader of improvement, like a manager or supervisor in this department, if you don't like the idea, you can't say that. You need to coach them. You might need to say something like, tell me more about your idea, because it just might be that they don't write that well. Or what's the waste that will be eliminated as a result of this idea? And so we really want to recognize people for being willing to speak up and to share their voice, because here's a mechanism for them to do that, and many appreciate that. Some are more timid or might just be developing in their learning to see and their lean thinking. We want to make sure that someone's first idea is not their last. I'll share one quick example of an A6, although I could share several. Just recently, a factory worker spoke up about a typical end of shift rush and suggested setting a pace. And so now each work cell has a plan versus actual mechanism where you need to be by first break, where you need to be by lunch, and where you need to be by second break. And we make showers and tubs, and so we have work order numbers or tags, and so we can count how many tags are we in. We need to be at 130, or we need to be by 270, etc. And as a result, it's working great. So just really grateful for all of these point improvements, as they're known, and there's a lot of engagement amongst the team. So again, we don't want to just have Kaizen like a 1-day or a 5-day improvement event where we do a rapid workshop. We want that, but we also want, as part of the ingredients for a truly CI, a continuous improvement culture, is to have A6s and A3s combined with Kaizen. And that's where we really have a true learning organization. This is a photo taken earlier today of an actual lean board. And this was from our lean walk, our Gemba walk earlier. So you can see, we shared the sketch with you, but this is the actual. I'll also mention briefly that because of Jay's desire to have improvement documented, we've got a tracker to quantify improvement. We've for a given period of time, we have 69 improvement ideas. Many of these are A6s. And here's all the departments of who's submitting how many, so you can see that at a glance. We're saving about $30,000 of actual cost reduction as a result of these 69 A6s. They're just quick wins, remember, they add up. 30,000 there, 2,200 hours of cycle time, or of time that we don't have to spend paying labor anymore. And then with this 326,000 steps, that equates to 163 miles. We've driven that out where we're not having to pay people 163 miles to walk and add no value. So reducing that motion waste. So again, just empowering the employee to make a financial impact on the company. And if somebody has a problem, they see something that's frustrating or something that could be better, this and the A6 is a tool at their fingertips to identify whether there's a savings on an improvement.
So I think in the interest of time, I'm going to try and hustle through these next few slides. Jared mentioned some of the savings that we're creating, and I think it's been critical for us to acknowledge that we will never lose a job because of an improvement that we make. We've made that commitment, and we honor that commitment. Our employees know that they're valuable, and whether they have valuable skills, skill set in the manufacturing process, or they know a lot about our customers, or they know a lot about our processes or our materials or our marketplace, we'll always be able to, because it's a foundation that we're a learning organization, we'll always be able to redeploy those skills and values. And I think that's really important to be able to highlight. So to move forward, I'd like to talk a little bit about our profit share, which is, and I know we're up against our time constraint, and I'm happy to share.
Slide. This is another secret we want to share. Pretty cool.
I'm happy to share more about this with anybody who's willing to, who has a desire to learn more. But
sorry to pop in. I'm just going to say, Jay and Jared, you are welcome to continue for a couple more minutes. I'm going to depart to the next session, but you're welcome to carry on for a couple more minutes.
That's about all we'll need. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that flexibility.
Okay, thanks, guys.
So, as we started our lean journey, we also committed to sharing the profits that we make. We have a team philosophy at Best Bath, and we say we win and we lose together. And I think our tier profit share structure is pretty unique in that the first, once we hit a certain threshold of profits that we need to make to pay our taxes, to make proper capital investments, then we share everything with the employees. And the employees to get paid first are the entry-level employees. And there are two tiers of that entry level. We have 1A and a 1B, which is a part of our career map. We have some positions that are unskilled labor that we can train and that we want to retain and we want to develop. And so that's the 1A versus the 1B. A lot of it's seniority. The next tier, now that tier is the largest tier, and they get paid their profit share in entirety before the next tier gets paid. And that tier is the lead tier. And then that tier gets paid in its entirety before the supervisors get paid. And then that tier gets paid before the managers get paid. And then finally, the leadership team gets paid. Now, as owners and actually the president of the company is asked to not be a part of this program because she, to her credit, did not want there to be any conceptualized appearance of cooking the books, so to speak. This stops at our leadership level, which is our director level, our director of sales and marketing, our director of operations, our director of lean and continuous improvement, our director of finance. Those folks are at that last level. They get paid the most, but they get paid last. And to be honest, this program has worked so well for us. And yes, it has posed some challenges. Specifically, I can remember an instance where there was a supervisor that was disgruntled that the leads were getting paid more, that were taking more profit share than they were. And it resulted in a really great conversation that we had. The more responsibility you have, as far as what decisions you're making, those really dictate where we go as an operating company, as an enterprise. So when we're able to have those conversations and ask those tough questions, well, what kind of actions are we taking that are preventing the upper levels of getting profit share? It really propels the organization in a way that I really haven't experienced otherwise. So I think, and I'm happy to share the figures and the numbers with you as well. We're a fairly small organization. We'll do $60 million in revenue this year, but these are monthly rewards, and they're they're meaningful for everybody, especially when we achieve these monthly. This year, I'm proud to say that we've achieved this 11 months out of 12, and I hope we'll be 12 out of 12. But the fact that they're real time means something to everybody. It's instant gratification. It's an instant reward.
Awesome.
Jared,
Thanks,
is there anything else you'd like to add?
Just thank you for the generosity. I've seen profit sharing work before in other organizations, and when coupled with lean, it's the most powerful I've seen it and the most potent. But this is unusual for Best Bath. I know it's been shared by Best Bath to others, and maybe others have looked at the bottom-up model, but it's very unique. And I love the outward mindset that it gives and the service mentality of those below you, or those who you're leading, to really clear a path for them of success. And it works very, very well. As I mentioned before, as Jared gets ready to summarize, I am more than happy to share whatever I can about how our profit share system has worked for us. And if you'd like to know a little bit more about the intricacies, please just reach out to me. My email is provided, and I'd love to talk more. Awesome. The Multanans are very willing to share pretty much everything. They're very transparent. We've heard, things like numbers, and just really the organization appreciates that. All of those things are part of the Best Bath secret sauce as we summarize. And thanks for those of you who have gone over time with us. We get excited about some of these things and tend to be long-winded. On our last slide here, just to summarize, Our secret sauce is to educate, empower, and reward. We educate by providing lean training. We empower folks with lean huddles with the A6, give everyone a voice so that we can have true continuous improvement. And then we reward them. We do this in a number of ways. We shared with you our profit share model, which is probably the most powerful and motivating. And it's a bottom-up model. So I'll go back to the first slide where, let's see. Stop share. I'll just share one more time our contact information in case there's interest in getting a hold of us. It's probably in the program, but we'll just put this in front of you one more time, and happy to share. If you have any questions, you can call, you can email, and we'll do anything we can to help you. Thank you all for attending this knowledge session tonight. I hope you got something out of it. And ultimately, if we're not saying you have to do profit share, we're not saying you have to use A6s. Maybe one or some of these ideas are helpful. But as long as, hopefully our goal is that you had an idea, something that you can take back to your business to help drive that lean culture forward. Thank you very much for joining us. Have a good evening or a good morning, depending on where you are. Take care, everybody.